A state agency is investigating how the Oswego County Social Services Department handled the Erin Maxwell case. The 11-year-old was killed more than a week ago, and police have still not made an arrest. In a written statement today, the Oswego County Social Services Commissioner says the department went to the Maxwell home in Palermo prior to Erin's death and found that the parents had, quote, taken reasonable and necessary steps to rectify the situation. The county concluded its case in May of 2006, but the chair of the Oswego County Legislature says the State Office of Children and Family Services is looking into whether proper procedures were followed.
The Office of Children and Family Help Services will be able to be an independent agency which will review the entire thing and actually can tell us where and what the problem was, if there was a problem.
Neighbors and friends who knew the Maxwells have said they did not think Oswego County Social Services did enough to prevent Erin Maxwell's death, especially after state police investigators found more than 100 cats and deplorable living conditions in the home. Tonight, Ray Vieta explains how the county decides when to remove a child from a troubled home.
Carrie, within 24 hours of getting a call to their child abuse hotline, the county is required to look into whether the call meets criteria that warrants an investigation. If it does, one is started immediately. Under the Family Court Act, social workers that respond to a house being investigated for child abuse mainly look into three things.
Among other things, providing the child with adequate food, clothing, and shelter. Now, the statute doesn't define further what is meant by that.
That means it's looked into on a case-by-case basis. There's no standards for what's enough food, enough clothing, or adequate shelter. There's also two different ways in which a child is taken out of the home. There's an emergency removal.
Have the child live with some other family member while the issue is being addressed. I mean, there are certainly potential other alternatives to taking the child away from the parents and putting the child into foster care.
If it's not an emergency removal, social services seeks a court order to get a child into foster care or to get assistance for the family. The state is looking into the county's response to the Maxwell call immediately, but they don't know when results will be available. State police investigators, meanwhile, have released few details about Erin's death since briefing us last week. They say Maxwell's stepbrother is a person of interest at this time. Carrie?
Oswego County Social Services says it gets 1,700 phone calls every year to investigate child abuse or neglect.